Shalom and good morning. Today we're reading YashaYahu, Isaiah, chapter 10. Woe to those making unrighteous inscriptions and writers who have prescribed toil, to keep the needy back from right ruling, and to take what is right from the poor of my people, that widows become their prey, and orphans their plunder. What shall you do in the day of visitation, and in the ruin which comes from afar? To whom would you run to for help? And where would you leave your wealth? Without me they shall bow down among the prisoners and fall among the killed. With all this, his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to Ashur, the rod of my displeasure, and the staff in whose hand is my displeasure. Against a defiled nation I send him, and against the people of my wrath I command him to seize the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mud of the streets. But he does not intend so, nor does his heart think so, for it is in his heart to destroy, and cut off not a few nations. For he says, Are not my princes sovereigns? Is not Kalno like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad? Is not Shamron like Damascus? As my hand has found the reins of the idols, whose carved images excelled those of Jerusalem and Shamron, as I have done to Shamron and her idols, do I not do also to Jerusalem and her idols? And it shall be, when Yahu'ah has performed all his work on Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, that I shall punish the fruit of the greatness of the heart of the sovereign of Ashur, and the boasting of his haughty looks. For he has said, By the power of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I have been clever. And I remove the boundaries of the people, and have robbed their treasuries, and I have put down the inhabitants like a strong one. And my hand finds the riches of the people like a nest, and I have gathered all the earth like a forsaking eggs are gathered. And there was no one who moved his wing, nor opened his mouth with even a peep. Would the axe boast itself over him who chops with it? Or the saw exalt itself over him who saws with it? As a rod waving those who lift it up, as a staff lifting up that which is not wood. Therefore the Master Yahu'ah of hosts sends leanness among his fat ones, and under his esteem he kindles a burning like the burning of a fire. And the light of Yisrael shall be for a fire, and a set apart one for a flame, and it shall burn and devour his weeds and his thorn bushes in one day, and consume the esteem of his forest and of his fertile field, for both life and flesh. And they shall be as when a sick man wastes away. And the remaining trees of his forest shall be so few in number that a child records them. And in that day be that the remnant of Yisrael and those who have escaped of the house of Jacob never again lean upon him who struck them, but shall lean upon Yahu'ah, the set apart one of Yisrael in truth. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty Ale. For though your people, O Yisrael, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return, a decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. For the Master Yahu'ah of hosts is making a complete end, as decided, in the midst of all the earth. Therefore, thus said the Master of Yahu'ah of hosts, my people who dwell in Sion, be not afraid of Ashur, who struck you with a rod and lifts up his staff against you in the way of Misraim. For yet a little while, and the displeasure shall be completed, and my displeasure be to their destruction. And Yahu'ah of hosts stirs up a lash for him, as the smiting of Midian at the rock of Oreb. And his rod was on the sea, so he shall lift it up in the way of Misraim. And in that day it shall be that his burden is removed from your shoulder, and his yoke from your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing oil. He has come upon Aoth. He has passed from Migron at Michmash. He stored his supplies. They have gone through the pass and have taken up lodging at Geba. Ramah is afraid. Geba of Shaul has fled. Lift up your voice, O daughter of Gileam. Listen, Leashea, O poor Anathoth. Medema has fled. The inhabitants of Gebim sought refuge, yet he remained at Nob that day. He shakes his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Sion, the hill of Jerusalem. Look, the Master Yahu'ah of hosts is lopping off a branch with awesome crash, and the tall ones are cut down, and the lofty ones are laid low. And he shall cut down the thickets of the forest with iron, and Lebanon shall fall as a mighty one. Chapter 11. And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Yishai, and a sprout from his roots shall be fruitful. The Spirit of Yahu'ah shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom, the Ruach, and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahu'ah, and shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahu'ah, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide the straightness for the meek ones of the earth, and shall strike the earth with his rods and mouth, and slay the wrong in the breath of his with the breath of his lips. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf should dwell with the lamb, and the leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf with the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child leads them. And a cow and bear shall feed, their young ones lie down together, and a lion eat straw like an ox. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil, nor destroy in all my set-apart mountain. For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahu'ah, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Yishai, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the nations shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed. And it shall be in that day that Yahu'ah sets his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Ashur and from Misraim, from Pathros and from Cush, from Eliam and from Shinar, from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of YashaYahu, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. And the envy of Ephraim shall turn aside, and the adversaries of Yehudah be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah not trouble Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistines toward the west. Together they plunder the people of the east, their hand stretching forth on Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall be subject to them. And Yahu'ah shall put under the bond the tongue of the sea of Mishraim, and he shall wave his hand over the river with the might of his spirit, and shall strike it in the seven streams, and shall cause men to tread in its sandals. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, those left from Ashur, as it was for YashaYahu in the day when he came upon from the land of Mishraim. Chapter 12. And in that day, I apologize, I had to check my monitor. You shall say, I thank you, Yahu'ah, though you were enraged with me. Your displeasure has turned back, and you have comforted me. See, El is my deliverance. I trust and am not afraid. For Yahu'ah is my strength and my song, and he has become my deliverance. And you shall draw water with joy from the fountains of deliverance. And in that day you shall say, Praise Yahu'ah. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the peoples, and make mention that his name is exalted. Sing, O Yahu'ah, for he has done excellency. This is known in all the earth. Cry aloud and shout, O inhabitant of Sion, for great is the set apart one of YashaYahu in your midst.